Welcome back to Edgework, presented by FanDuel as part of the Hammer Betting Network. I'm Alex Moretto, joined here today by So Money in the nick of time. He was here, and then I don't know what just happened there. But we are good to go today. I don't know about good to go. We are ready to go at least. Good is maybe a bit of a strong overstatement after last night's games. 0-2 on best bets. Tampa, money line, and the under 5.5 do not get home. 11 seconds of pure misery. Panthers scored 2 goals in quick succession to sewer both bets and then get the empty netter to kill the under. Very tough scenes in Florida last night. A vintage Panthers performance, though, that they kill off that 5-minute power play or penalty kill, I guess, chance to ice the game for the Lightning. Lightning cannot get it done. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough to go into on those best bets and have the Tampa futures put on life support, we head over to the Dallas-Colorado game. And before I can even catch my breath, Dallas scores 9 seconds into the game and never looks back and takes a stranglehold on that series, as now our AB series bets are on life support as well. So, Money, walk us through the misery that was last night.
It wasn't a fun night, you guys. It just, I don't know what to say. It wasn't fun. I thought that the Panthers, it was right there for Tampa Bay. They have nobody to blame but themselves. There was a situation in that game, and I would actually want Charles's thoughts on this, because I was thinking about this, and obviously he watches the team better, more closely than I do. But there was a period in time within that game after Tampa Bay, I don't know exactly, but it was in like the second period where this Florida team was just running around, right? Like they were there. There's a difference between playing physical and just running around, and I haven't seen that from this team before. So I don't know if it's something that's like common and that happens occasionally, but there's something to be said about knowing when to toe the line and when you're crossing it. Now, the thing with the Florida, they're very good at knowing how to toe the line. And the only reason why that Ekblad hit was clearly crossing the line, and they were just fortunate that it wasn't called, right? But even before that and a little bit after that, you see them getting out of position, trying to go for big hits, right? So I don't know if it was only that stretch in the second period where I noticed that it was that pronounced. So I don't know if this was something that was articulated, that okay, we need to start going around and taking the body more, or like if that's just what happens sometimes to this team, right? Like they were, like you could see it, they were running around and getting out of position. So it was strange to see from a team that's so that's as disciplined as Florida usually is.
If it was their game plan, I don't know if it was their game plan, but if it was their game plan, it seems to be working a little bit, because Tampa's top guys are not producing at all in this series. Whether it's like whether it's down to the fact that Tampa's just, a bit out of sync right now offensively because their lines have been juggled around so much with some injuries and stuff, or Florida just playing great defense, or it's, there's a little bit of that, like, we're playing on the perimeter because we're going to get punished if we, try and get inside there. Points doing his best to do that. But Kucherov, at what point is he going to arrive in these playoffs? Because we have not seen anything from him here. I don't know. Whatever it is from Florida, it is working. I think the Ekblad one is probably fair to give a 1-game suspension. The outcry on Twitter last was that he borderline should never play hockey again, it seemed like. I didn't think it was that bad. We've seen worse. I still think the Hagel hit was worse. It was like I think it looked worse than it was too, because like the arm pushes forward, but that's because he's like leaning into it and going forward. I don't think it was like horrific. It should have been, in my opinion, just probably a 5, I guess, on the ice, and then you don't have to do anything else discipline-wise. But now the fact that we did not get that 5, I think he should probably get a game. I think Nikola got already his 5 and his misconduct. I don't think there needs to be any supplemental discipline there. But, Ekblad, of course, scores the goal to tie the game. Well, he scores the goal to tie the game that gets disallowed for offside. And then he's back to score again later in the game. And then 11 seconds later, Seth Jones wins it. Just like you couldn't script that. And he it was. I mean, the guy who should have potentially not even been on the ice scores the goal to tie the game and put a stranglehold on this series. It feels like this isn't done yet. Florida has definitely been the better team in this series, and they're very much deserving of the lead they have right now. But like, I still do believe in this Tampa team. I still do like this Tampa team. And I mean, I don't think it's curtains yet, but it does feel like they're on board with time now.
Yeah, and they're coming back home to play game 5, right? Like it's not as if it's not over. Obviously, it's going to be tough, and Florida has shown that they have no problem winning on the road. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough here. Tampa Bay, they can get it done at home, and then I mean, game 6, who knows, right? In Florida, that's obviously that's going to be a tough one, but we've always felt that this was going to be a long series, right? So
Yeah.
so I'm not shocked that Florida might win this series. I'm just shocked that it could end in 5, right? Because
Yeah.
I all along I felt that this was going at least 6.
I mean, Tampa was a juggernaut at home this year, right? They were fantastic on home ice. I think something like I think they had the most or second most wins at home this year. I mean, they were right up there at least. I don't have it in front of me, but they were very good at home. So, you win that game and then potentially send it to 6, whatever, but put the pressure on Florida to win it at home before they have to go back to Tampa. But yeah, I mean, look, Florida's just an unbelievable team. I mean, this isn't a knock on Tampa. Like, Tampa obviously didn't have Hagel for the one game. He was suspended. I think Cirelli playing a little bit injured. Bjorkstrand obviously not playing in the series. There have been guys in and out of the lineup. Florida got healthy at the right time. I still think Tampa's a very, very good team that could make noise if they're able to find a way to keep themselves alive here. They still could make a deep run in these playoffs. But again, I mean, to beat this Florida team 3 times in a row feels borderline impossible. Honestly, just how little they give up. But Florida's still struggling to score. So, you never know. I don't think it's curtains there yet. Although obviously it's pretty close to it. Avs. Let's talk about the Avs quickly. I'm just going to come out. I don't even know I don't even have anything I really want to talk about here. I don't know if you do, so I can give you the floor. But all I want to say basically is that I was wrong about this series. That's it. I put too much stock into Dallas struggling down the stretch and their weak right-sided defense, which they've been able to mask, no problem. They've had some guys step up and play impressive minutes. Thomas Harley's been fantastic. We did cash the Thomas Harley 2+ goals in the series last night, which was nice. I was just wrong. I was just flat out wrong. The Avs were dominant in game 4, but the Stars will not go away, and they have been very, very good in this series. A lot better than I was expecting, and a lot better than we have seen from them since the 4 Nations break. They're playing their best hockey the last few months all of a sudden at the perfect time. So credit to Pete DeBoer and a credit to that team. I definitely discounted them coming into the playoffs, and it's probably going to cost me some money here.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. The Stars, they've shown me a lot. And we're headed towards a nightmare final for me personally, which would be Dallas, Florida. That'd be very tough on the pocketbook for me. But hope we're still a long ways from there. Hopefully, it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah.
But
nothing to say about that. Don't worry.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that that Dallas was very impressive. I don't think you can take anything away from that. I mean, no, Colorado didn't play their best game, but Dallas also came out and just like they took that game, right? Like look at how the game started, right? So and it continued throughout the first period, right? Like it seemed there was a concerted effort that we are going to take away what happened in game 4, and we're gonna come back here and we're gonna reestablish ourselves here. So and yeah, there's not much more I can say either. I thought that Dallas was outstanding, well deserving, and quite frankly, they should be up in this series.
With no Heiskanen and no Jason Robertson.
Exactly.
Honestly, a testament to the depth they have, a testament to the work that Pete DeBoer has done as a head coach of that team, and the character in that room too, honestly, because they were a couple times like losing game 1 at home, going down in game 2. They could have packed up pretty easily, and they did not. They battled through this, and I mean, they've got some guys like Bichelle and Steele, and like guys that are, these role players who are playing some really, really good and important minutes for them in this series. And obviously, their stars have been their stars, and the Avs, I mean, they made some really good moves at the deadline. I loved like bringing in Nelson and Coyle and the stuff that they did, but those guys just have not produced. They still just far too reliant on one line. The secondary scoring just hasn't been there, and that's basically been their downfall in this series so far. So obviously not over. Going back to Colorado, I do think that they will be able to push this 1-7. I think we deserve 7 in this series, and then, I mean, Game 7, who knows? But definitely do not think the Avs will be worth a play in Game 7 based on how they've been lined throughout this entire series. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. 4 games to get to tonight. I'm excited to talk about these. Before we do, the NHL playoffs are underway and the Battle of Ontario is continuing tonight. FanDuel is your home for live betting the Battle of Ontario and other playoff series with new features like live SGPs, build a parlay, any game, any period, or stack multiple matchups onto one slip with same-game parlay plus. And what's better than playoff hockey? Overtime playoff hockey. Get more from the game with live overtime markets. Right now, new customers can kick off the season with $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet and you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download FanDuel today and get more with North America's #1 sportsbook. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, or 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelp.ma.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, so let's start with the Battle of Ontario. Huge game tonight. It feels like the Leafs, who have largely controlled this series, despite what the underlying numbers say. Yes, there's been a lot of coin flip games, as the Sens fans will like to continue to point out, but you cannot be in coin flip games in this series if you are the Senators, because you have a disadvantage in net, which is, crazy because Solmar's one of Vezina, but I think Stolarz is the better of the 2 goalies right now, and you have a lesser finishing up front. So coin flip games are ultimately going to go to the team that has the better finishing and the better goaltending, which is what we have seen so far. Ottawa is able to keep their season alive, though, on Saturday. And now it feels like the Leafs really need to get this done tonight, because if they don't, and you go back to Ottawa for Game 6, the demons start to creep in again. And it's like, okay, we have to win this in Game 6 because we don't want to go to another Game 7, because look how Game 7s have gone for us. It just feels like a really, really important game tonight for the Leafs. Obviously, that goes without saying, every game in the playoffs is important, but this feels like a little bit extra significance for a team that's up 3-1. Leafs -166 right now on FanDuel. Sens +138. Total of 5.5, -112 to the over, -108 to the under. This Sens price has fallen quite a bit this morning. It came up a little bit from open a couple days ago, but since this morning, where we were earlier, as limits have gone up, the Sens have continued to take money, and the Leafs price is plummeting a little bit. Are you part of this Sens money at all, or are you maybe looking to see how low this can go and get in on the Leafs at one point?
So I haven't been part of that Sens money. I saw it coming, but I haven't been involved in it. This game comes down to another test for the Leafs that I've been looking for all year, and they have passed those tests for the most part. And what that test means for me is that I believe that this Leafs team is different. If this team is different, then they will win this game, right? And it's been like that when they were trying to wrap up the division. If they were going to, there's been situations this year where previous Leafs teams would have struggled in those situations, and this version of this team was able to pass that test. This is just another test, right? It's just another game for them. But you're right, the demons will start creeping in, right? And Ottawa has been right there all series, right? They've had some bad luck. They've had some poor goaltending at times, but they've stuck around, right? This series could easily have been 2-2, or you could even make a case for 3-1 Ottawa, right? It's been that close, but the Leafs have been doing just enough, which is oftentimes what it takes in the playoffs
Mhm.
to be able to be up 3-1. And now they have a chance to wrap it up at home. In the past, I feel that the Leafs would falter here, but again, if this team is different, they're going to win this game. Um, in terms of the number for the game, I think it's fair now. I thought that there was
Yeah.
a little bit of value on Ottawa earlier. It wasn't enough for me to make a play. Um, Now I think we're fair on the side. I do like the under in this game.
Yeah.
Um, there's no there's there's nothing I've seen so far that makes me think that either team is interested and probably to some extent capable of getting into a back and forth with each other. I think they're completely fine with playing the way that this series has been going. From Toronto's perspective, we're up 3-1. What are we going to change? And from Ottawa's perspective, we're in every game. Every game has been a coin flip. So what are we going to change, right? So I think that both teams are completely fine with the way that this series is going, and there's no indication to me that anything will be different going forward. So I do like the under. I did play it. I think there's still room there. It's still it's still a nice number on that under. So
Yeah, it is.
that's so that's where I am right now. In fact, I think that this series will tighten up even more, right? Like I don't see anything that makes me think that we're gonna get an abundance of goals in this series.
Yep. This is a double best bet. I bet this over. I think this under. Sorry, in pretty much every game in this series so far. And I only like it more as we get into these games later in the series where there's a team that's on the brink of elimination. Things obviously naturally tighten up. Leafs have a chance to move on. They want to play that defensive style. Lean on Stolars. We talked about Ottawa's finishing. Ottawa cannot get into a back and forth game with the Leafs if they want to keep their season alive. That is just straight up not how they are going to have success. There's everything we've seen, but basically how this series is played is indicative of an under here. I'm surprised this has not run more, and we are not looking at juiced unders at this 5.5 yet. I think we should be for sure. So I agree there is still some room to run. There's minus 101 out there, a lot of minus 105s. Yeah, I'm more than happy taking those minus 105s. This is a nice look for sure. Probably my favorite one on the board tonight. Yeah, I would say probably my favorite one on the board tonight, although there are some ones I do like later on as well. But a few comments here in the chat on Jin Rummy says, I like that Sens price this morning, plus 162, not anymore. So yeah, for sure. It was a little bit inflated this morning. We got Ian in the chat. How's it going, Ian? Thank you for tuning in. Former producer Zach Phillips just going to war with the Sens. Even CMAC doesn't actually like the Sens. Oh boy. And then Rob Holden here. Matt, sorry, I keep left clicking instead of right clicking as I try and show these comments. Matthews, Marner, and Nylander have been together 9 years, and none of them have a career moment yet. One of them will get the game winner and will be a hero. All right, calling his shot, Rob. Let's and then Ryan Hall says, boom, got it even. Yeah, that's a good number right there if you got the plus money on that 5.5. All right, let's move on to the next game here, the Devils and the Hurricanes. It almost feels like the Devils are just waving the white flag here. Again, we'll be without, I think, what Dylan, Kovacevic, and Hughes will not be playing again tonight. They're pretty much, I mean, honestly, given the injuries and everything, they have battled decently in this series, more than I expected them to, especially after how miserable they were in game one. They have really played better since then, and credit to them to battle through some of those injuries, to put in the performances they have. I thought they were really good in that game on Friday night as well, but it's just too much to overcome against this Canes team. You can't be this shorthanded and expect to have a chance. Devils plus 220 tonight in Carolina. Canes minus 275. Total of 5.5 plus 100 to the over, minus 122 to the under. It is a big number here. This is an inflated Hurricanes price. I can understand why. Market obviously loves them, and with the Devils' injuries, but like it's too big of a number. I just don't have the stomach to get it on the Devils tonight. I just don't want to do it. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that full credit to the Devils, the way that they've battled in the series. Um, Clearly, Carolina is the better team, and there's a lot of injuries for the Devils that are really tough to overcome when you're playing the way that Carolina does. Also, it looks like Kochetkov is going to be in net tonight for Carolina. There was no
Mhm.
sign of Freddie Anderson, and they also called up former Canuck Spencer Martin. So um, looks like um, looks like we're not going to see Anderson, but at this point, I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I think that what the Devils need is what they've needed from the beginning in this series, and that's all world performances from Markstrom every single game. Like he
Yeah.
basically has to steal every game. He has to steal the series, and unfortunately for New Jersey, Carolina has enough that they're just relentless, and New Jersey doesn't have the horses right now to be able to make up for that. So
Yeah.
it's it's unfortunate because if you've listened to my thoughts on the Devils, I have been higher on the Devils all year. They were my President's Trophy pick
Hmm.
going into the season. Um, but it just hasn't worked out. Like the wheels have fallen off here near the end of the season. A lot of it has to do with injuries,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's just, yeah, it's unfortunate that we didn't get the best Devils team this series, but that's just the way it goes. That's the playoffs. Sometimes, oftentimes, the winning team at the end is not necessarily the best team; they're the healthiest team. And right now, the Devils just aren't there. So I expect Carolina to wrap it up. I do think that New Jersey is going to fight because that's clearly what they've shown that they're not going to go away in this series. So I don't think it's going to be straightforward for Carolina, but I do expect them to be able to wrap it up. And I, that being said, I still can't lay that number on Carolina. So I'm gonna pass on that as well, and nothing on the total either because I can see um, we've kind of been expecting goals in this series, and it worked out for a bit, and it hasn't worked out for the most part. But but nothing on the total there for me as well.
I will end up. Honestly, I'm gonna bet the over in this game. I haven't bet it yet, and I thought maybe we get a slightly better number, and it ended up getting a slightly worse. Nothing like crazy. It's moved a couple cents, but like, yeah, I think plus money 5.5 here. There's a little bit of hidden value. Just those defensive injuries for uh for the Devils, and what Carolina is able to generate on home ice. We've seen in this series how relentless they have been offensively on home ice, and the Devils haven't really been able to stop them. And now they're even weaker on the back end. Markstrom looks like he's kind of running out of gas a little bit. Kochetkov, obviously, a net for Carolina. And there's a situation we'll get into here where, like, season's on the line. At what point, if the Devils are down, 3-1, 3-0, do they just throw caution to the wind and pull their goalie twice, three times? Like, who knows, right? There's just nothing to lose at this point. Some crazy end game scenarios. Plus money 5.5. I do like it. I was kind of just waiting to see where it went, see if we could get a better price. I will end up betting this. I have not bet it yet, but we can go ahead and track it if we want here. Since we are on the show, I don't think we're necessarily in a rush to bet it, though. I'll put it that way. I think it's possible this can come back a little bit more towards the under. But honestly, I said I thought this was going to be a lower scoring series. I know you said you thought there were going to be goals in this series. It's ended up being a bit of a lower scoring series, but like it hasn't necessarily deserved to be a lower scoring series. So like you were kind of right in that like there has been more offense generated than I was expecting personally. You were expecting that offense. I was not. But like the goals still haven't quite been there. They were last game. I think we're going to see that again tonight, especially on Carolina's front as they come back home with a chance to close it out. I think we're going to see. I think they're going to be fiery here. So I like this over. We can go ahead and track it, and we'll move on to the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know what the Wild have to do to get some respect in the market. Plus 190 in Vegas tonight. Vegas minus 235, a total of 5.5. Juice heavily to the over on FanDuel. This is pretty much a 6. So money. All the Wild have done in this series is, keep it tied through 4 games. And I mean, they were on the brink of being up 3-1 in this series, and we're still seeing these massive, massive prices on the Wild. I mean, explain this one to me.
Yeah, it's I don't think people or the market is seeing as well is seeing that how well Minnesota is playing and what a close matchup this is. In the preview show, we kind of said that like Minnesota is like the little brother. They want to emulate what Vegas does, but Vegas just does it better. At some point, the little brother's gonna kick your ass if you don't take it seriously, right? And like what I'm seeing from Vegas right now is, um, Vegas feels that um, they can step it up when they want, and they'll be able to win this series. Ultimately, that may be the case because Vegas is the better team,
Mhm.
um, but Minnesota's right there. Even in Game 4, I don't think that was probably, I would say that was probably the worst game that Minnesota played as a team, and they were still right there,
Mhm.
and it took overtime for them to lose. Gustafson played well, and he's been actually getting better. His numbers have been getting better as the games have gone on. I thought that he wasn't that good in game one. It was a closer game than the score indicated at 4-2, but I thought that he could have played that better, and he's been getting better as the series has gone on. Aiden Hill has been a little bit up and down. I think that that's where there's a big advantage for the Wild, and it's a big enough advantage that you can't let these prices go on the Wild. Where
Yeah.
there's some plus 200s out there, um, and there's no reason for me to think that the Wild are going to do anything differently in this series going forward. They're well coached, so I'm not worried about them pulling off king stuff, but they're right there, and they're able to. They know they can play with Vegas. They've shown they're able to play with Vegas. Um, they probably don't end up winning this series, but there's no reason not to be betting on the Wild right now. So I did bet them. We're seeing plus 200s in the market right now. We're seeing down to, I think, plus 190 or plus 185. It's like the lowest number I'm seeing right now. So I still I still like it there.
Yeah, it's plus 204 available as well. Yeah, I like the Wild here as well. We talked about this. I mean, I just don't quite understand it. I think Vegas remains very overvalued. The Wild have also shown that they match up really well in this series too, and also like Vegas just is not getting the goaltending necessarily right now. I know Hill made some very timely saves. He made that one on the doorstep. I can't remember who it was on. I think it was Rossi, but he was able to somehow keep his pad strong, even though he had nothing to like pin his pad against, to keep the puck out in overtime there. That was a very strong one, but like he hasn't been great. I can't get to where this number is. It's far too inflated right now. Vegas gets the like the boost for going back home and tying the series, whatever. But this is an absurd number. I will be betting this in multiple ways. I already have some wild live series stuff here, so at this number, I'm not just going to sit back and let that ride out. I'm going to get on this game price as well. There has been a big adjustment to the total, which we've seen, right? We were seeing 5.5s that were creeping up, and then we're getting plus money 5.5s, and now we're seeing 6. That game 3 was the one game that was a lot lower, like lower event, I should say, not lower scoring, but it was very low event game in game 3, still went over the total. Every game in this series has gone over the total. Obviously, game 1 was it was that empty netter with 0.1 seconds left. But this has been a very high event series. I personally am adjusting myself here, and I do think there's still potential for goals. I'm not rushing to bet this under 6, even though a week ago I would have been all over this number. How about you?
No, I feel the same way. I got burned again on the under 5.5 that I played on, I believe it was Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and these teams are it's really impressive. They're actually just getting after it, right? So
Yeah.
and they're both generating chances. Like there's no this this has been probably the most probably the best series for me to watch, from a personal level. And
Mm-hmm.
or ordinarily, if I didn't have so much money on the Kings, that would be the best series for me. But there's just too much money involved for me to enjoy that series at all.
Yeah.
So I I'm enjoying this Vegas Minnesota series quite a bit, and I can't get there on an under either. Um, there they're just going back and forth. They're really going after it.
Well, speaking of the Kings series, we might as well get right to it now because this is a huge one tonight. Feels like season is on the line for our Los Angeles Kings. On FanDuel right now, minus 134, which is pretty much right in line with the rest of the market. Whole market sitting in that minus 130 to minus 135 range on the Kings. Oilers plus 114, a total of 6.5, plus 104 to the over, minus 128 to the under on FanDuel. I'll let you take it away. I feel like we've talked about this series extensively because we've talked about each game individually and we talked about it as a whole yesterday, and every game has basically followed the exact same routine. So I don't know how much more you have to add here. Are you betting the game tonight, or are you just letting your series stuff ride? What's your plan of attack here?
I need a little bit cheaper on the Kings. I think we're right on the precipice of me getting involved in this game at least, but I do need a little bit cheaper. The Kings, they play better at home, but the thing is that how much better are they going to be playing here, right? Like I've been fine with their game for the majority of the games here. It's just that when they get a lead in the third period, they think that they can sit back and just watch the two best players in the league or the two best players in the world just keep coming at you, and you think that's okay, right? So I just please change that. You're a different team this year. You have the horses to score, right? You have the ability to extend leads in this series. This is not like previous years, right? Hiller, if you're watching, right, get after it, man. Right? Like you don't need to sit back, and it's really frustrating. Like I know that they've been shortening the bench. I know that the minutes allocation has raised some eyebrows here as well for me. But I mean, you can't be in a situation where all your big horses are dog tired at the end of the game, and you're just hanging on, just watching these two guys just continuously just keep coming at you wave after wave. Like you have to change that up, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I there's what more can we say? The Kings have been fine um, for the most part. They just can't be sitting on leads in this series. Like you can't you're not going to beat Edmonton that way. How did Florida end up ultimately beating Edmonton? Right? Like Florida didn't sit back in that series at all, and I think that the Kings have the high end talent to be able to match up theoretically throughout the course of the game. So just 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 stop doing dumb shit, man.
Yeah.
What else can I say?
Austin says Kings first period money line minus 130, and then Rob says Kings minus a half in the first period plus 177. Honestly, I didn't really look at the derivative markets, but those are some decent looks, I would say. Just given the way I would expect them to start this game after how they finished last game, you would definitely expect a response here at home. Something I would dig more into. I don't necessarily like have a price for that I would want to buy it at, but like just instinctively looking at it, I know it is a derivative of the money line, but part of the fear of the money line is look at this end game shenanigans that they keep doing. So, if that's part of what's scaring you off and wanting a better number and like searching for some sort of like minus 125 on the Kings here, which who knows, maybe we get, because the Oilers have been taking money all morning. Obviously, this was like in the minus 140s earlier today. So it's very possible that we get there. Another interesting way to look at it, kind of. For me personally, this is my sicko bet of the day, but there's 6.5 minus 120 available at one shop. There's 6.5 minus 125, and then there's some big plus money sixes. I like the under 6.5. If you can get that minus 120, that's great. Otherwise, the plus 105 6 or the minus 125 6.5, kind of take your pick there. That is what I like here. First two games in LA were extremely low event. They were not at all. Kemper was terrible in that first game, and Skinner was terrible in that first game. That was a very low event game at 5-on-5. Not a lot of offense was generated. There was obviously some power play stuff and some bad goaltending that played into that. Game two was very similar in LA. At home in LA is like we're going to control the matchups, and we're going to have last change, and we're going to be able to tighten things up. And that's what they were able to do in those two games in LA. They were not high scoring games. They were very misleading final scores, the 6-5 and the 6-2. Those should have been under games, frankly, and we just didn't quite get them. Obviously, Picker scares me. I still really like Darcy Kemper. I think that this under is still, as long as the Kings don't go up 3-1 and shut it down and Oilers tie it and we're going overtime at 3-3, I do feel good about this getting home. It is disgusting. I know it is a disgusting look, and it's very tough to stomach right now given how the series has been played, but I really do like this under. That's why what I was saying earlier about liking that Sens Leafs under is probably my favorite look on the board. This is the other one that I was kind of like, I was torn between because, yeah, it's gross, but I really do think this price is way too high given where we started the series. And I don't think we've seen enough from the 2 games in LA to warrant this much of a shift in price, which is what we're getting here. So under 6/6.5 for me, depending on what you have available. Obviously shop around, get the best price you can. But yeah, this is my look here. I'd rather have a bet on the Sharks, says Jordan. God, I don't blame you. What are your thoughts on this total?
In theory, I completely agree with you. I think that that this should be an under game. There's one thing I hesitate about in this game, and that's if the Kings do what they're supposed to do, and if they're leading as they've done in every game this series, and they don't shut it down, that they keep getting after it. I think that they do have the ability to score on the Oilers. They clearly don't realize that they have the ability to score, but all of us watching them, we believe in them more than they do sometimes, I think. So if they have learned from their past transgressions against our bankroll, they will see that they are able to score. And I think that this could be a game where it all comes together for the Kings, and they're able to do it. They're able to get the goals that they need to really push this over. So that would be my only concern. If this follows the script of every previous game this series in terms of offensive generation and the Kings just inexplicably letting up, then yeah, this is going to stay under. So that's the reason I'm staying away from the total, is because I just want to see how the Kings play for the full 60 minutes here. If they play their game for the whole 60 minutes, I think that this game goes over, but I'm just not certain that that's what we're going to get.
Yeah. That's fair. I understand. One time, So Money. 3-0 Kings, please, tonight. Just one time. Just give us that. I want it bad. That would go a long way to settling some of my nerves here for the rest of this series, and just based on how things have gone here, my whole futures portfolio, I guess you could say. More Ottawa steam, as Samuel points out in the chat here. Leafs down to -156 at one sharp spot, and -160 at the others. So wow, that's getting pretty cheap. A lot of Ottawa money coming in this morning. I would expect a little bit of buyback at one point here on the Leafs, but I guess we'll see where this closes. All right, let's do an anytime goal parlay as well for tonight. We got 4 games. We got plenty of spots we can kind of pick and choose from. I know we have a couple unders, but I still like the Kings to get some goals in this game. So let's find a Kings player from that one as well. Before we do that, you guys can keep sending your suggestions in the chat. Just to recap our best bets for tonight, we do have 4 of them. We have the Sens and Leafs under 5.5 -101, the Devils and Canes over 5.5 +100, the Minnesota Wild +204, and the Oilers Kings under 6.5 -120. Again, -125 is fine if you have access to that, or there's +105 at 6. I would prefer the -125 6.5 to a +100 6. So depending on what you've got there, that's the best way to kind of attack that. All right. So Money, anytime goal parlay. Before we go to the chat, is there anyone? I know there were a couple that were sent earlier, which I will pull up at one point. But before I go to the chat for that, anyone that you wanted to include here tonight? I
like Quentin Byfield quite a bit. I think that there's some it's a little narrative as well, but I think that he will be given the opportunity. And he's, from what I've seen, he's the kind of kid that that is going to respond. So I do like him to play a really strong game here, and I think he'll be given the opportunity to make up for things.
Yeah, I'm definitely good for that. He scored in both the home games as well. We had obviously the series stuff on him at home. There, that line is definitely freed up as well to play some of the more offensive minutes. We saw him with 6 shots at home in the first 2 games, so he was firing there. I do like that. Look, we'll throw Byfield in there. We had 2 suggestions, actually 3 suggestions, actually. Yeah, we have 3 suggestions from the same game from people in the chat here. We had Jordan said Boldy plus 230. Ron said Zuccarello plus 420. And it was Rob, I believe. Yeah, Rob said Kaprizov plus 329. Can only include one of them, although I do hope all 3 of them score for multiple different reasons. Is there anyone that you would prefer of those 3 between Zuccarello, Boldy, and Kaprizov?
Boldy stands out, but I'm being seduced by the price on Zuccarello though. So
It's a big number.
that's my conundrum right now. I like Boldy to score, but man, that Zuccarello price is sexy.
Okay, so
That's tough.
it is a tough one. I love the way that Zuccarello line's been playing too. Zuccarello, Hartman, and Foligno. That line's been really good. Zuccarello obviously gets the power play time to get. Let's go with Zuccarello. Let's do it.
Okay.
Congrats to the Boldy goal tonight. All right, we'll throw Zuccarello in there. We have Jordan says Blake or Stankoven for the Canes.
Let's take a look here.
Stankoven is plus 320 on FanDuel. Blake is 275.
Yeah, I like Blake. I like Blake better actually.
Okay,
I think he's he's getting opportunities, but he's not. His conversion rate is lower than it should be here. Yeah, I like Blake here based on what he's generating.
Okay, we'll throw Blake in there. We could throw a guy in from. We could leave it at 3, or we could throw one in from the Sens Leafs game. What do you think? I think maybe 3 is good here. I don't want to force it, and I think it's going to be a super low event, low scoring kind of game in Ottawa. I think like a 2-1 type of game.
Totally. I do like Austin Matthews, but it's not enough with the price we're going to get on him, as well as this being a under game for it to be worth it.
Yeah, plus 120.
That's going to be worth it in a under game.
Pop says I'm going to emotional hedge with an inevitable Greek anytime goal. At least Leaf fans have a nice path to emotionally hedging in this series. If I've wanted to emotionally hedge, I've had to lay some big caps numbers, which have not been appetizing to me. So I've just steered clear of that. Maybe that's why we're down 3-1 in the series, because I haven't been emotionally hedging. All right. So that is our anytime goal parlay for today. Those are the 3 we are going to include here. We have Blake, Zuccarello, and Byfield. Those are the 3 for tonight. I'll get a price on that in a second. And recap the best bets one more time. Sens, Leafs, under 5.5, minus 101. Devils, Canes, over 5.5, plus 100. Wild, plus 204. Oilers, Kings, under 6.5, minus 120. And then, the anytime goal parlay one more time was Zuccarello, Blake, and Byfield. That is 65-1. All right. Appreciate everyone for tuning in today. We will be back, myself, So Money, and Rob tomorrow, as it is a Wednesday in the world of sports, a Matt Zilbert Wednesday. We'll be back to break down the games tomorrow night, recap what happened tonight. Looking forward to that. If you guys can like the stream and all that sort of stuff before you leave, we would appreciate it. Until then, enjoy the games tonight. Good luck on your bets.